On March 27th and 28th, I spent a couple days at the original Six Flags Park in Arlington, Texas, walking away with a solid 11 new credits and a fun experience at a park that's further from home than any theme park I've been to before. Now, there's plenty of things to say about Six Flags Over Texas, so here's a review for my newest addition to my theme park belt. So my first impressions of the park were really how much charm the park had. The front area felt more like an independent park than a Six Flags park, besides the massive Larson Loop, of course. Now that really only lasted till we walked towards the far side of the park, where rides like Joker, Riddler's Revenge, and Harley Quinn now sit. The area feels about as Six Flags as it comes, with cloned attraction and nothing but asphalt. So in terms of presentation, it's a very mixed bag of some cool and unique rides, some decent theming for some areas of the park, and a bunch of typical clone rides almost every theme park regular has seen. The park was also celebrating its 60th anniversary, which they had some signs around, but nothing too crazy. And they also had a spring break event going on. They had some hula performances and a tiki-themed walk-around character. It was pretty cool. It's very clear that some areas of the park need a revamp, but could be very cool. The Looney Tunes area is faded as can be, but I think it could be really fun and old school if they give it a nice update. To be fair, the real first impressions of this park come when you're driving up to it. It has the unique location and lack of divider from highways that you can see almost every angle no matter which way you come to the park from. You end up driving right next to rides like Shockwave, Joker, and Judge Roy Scream, and it's really a great way to get hyped up early in the morning for some rides. I do like when parks are tucked away and there's kind of that grand reveal when you get there, but also the previews from hotels and the whole drive down definitely build some anticipation. Once in the park, I felt it was kept very clean, at least when I was there. There were workers going around cleaning and sanitizing, as well as reminding guests to wear their mask. The COVID protocols overall were all pretty standard, with hourly cleanings, the temperature checks before going into the park, and the mask mandates. I was kind of expecting more people to be seen without them due to the Texas change in their law recently, but I think I counted maybe 2 or 3 groups who broke it and then were quickly told to put it on either over their nose or on totally. As for the crowds themselves, I thought the guest pattern was a little weird the 2 days I was there. I'm pretty used to parks filling up early and then dying out late unless it's something like Fright Fest going on. However, both days the park was pretty empty until around 12:30 to 1 o'clock. Now, walk on or near station waits are rides like Titan, New Texas Giant, and Mr. Freeze. But once that 1 p.m. rolled around, there were waves of people pouring in and filling out the midways. Both days we left around 3:30, feeling like we got plenty done, and there were huge waits for things like Flash Passes entry, even turning into the park from the road. Now, I would say that Saturday was easily at capacity by the time we left, and Sunday was getting pretty close, with almost all the lots by Titan completely filled. I was worried going into the trip about the crowds, seeing as the warmer weather and the weekends tend to draw those big crowds to the parks. Luckily, we were able to get multiple rides on almost every major coaster, and snagged every credit that was open besides the kiddie coaster. Now, I'll go more into the coaster collection next week when I rank each ride out. In terms of credits though, the only major miss was Judge Roy Scream, the park's classic 1980 wooden roller coaster. It was completely closed both days despite being open the weekend prior. Now on Sunday, the website changed the status of the ride to temporarily closed, so we kind of knew that it wasn't going to happen. In all honesty, it wasn't the biggest miss, and I have heard that the park had issues with closed rides in the past, so if that was the one that was going to be missed, so be it. Runaway Mountain also had some downtime on Saturday, so we made it the first stop on Sunday because it's one of those few rides in the park that opens before the rope drops. Batman the Ride also faced about a half hour of downtime on Saturday, but it ran consistently after that. My biggest fear would have been Mr. Freeze having trouble with its reliability, which anyone who's read up on those old Premier LIM launch coasters knows it can be a real question mark sometimes. To my luck, the ride ran both days, all day, and I got both front and back row experiences. I finally got a taste of that credit I missed years ago with the Chiller at Great Adventure. Now, the collection as a whole is very solid with few gaps. They have a launch, a hyper, a hybrid. They have rides both off and under the track as well, and they have a solid pair of strong family coasters. If anything, I wish this park had more of a true standout or a real inversion machine. Again, that's going to be dove into further when I throw out a what's next for this park in a couple weeks from now. Now, with Aquaman still closed, waiting to open 2022, the middle of the right side of the park has some traffic flow issues with the guests. The fenced-in area really prevents some easier travel, and it got us turned around a few times since we hadn't been there before. Now, overall, that ride looks fun, and it should be a real hit in the Texas heat, but I don't think it's that standout I was talking about earlier. Some other fly rides the park has is Superman Tower of Power, Riddler's Revenge, Harley Quinn, El Diablo, Texas Sky Screamer, and the Oil Derrick. Honestly, they all do their jobs pretty well, and the trio of 300 plus foot towers from Superman, Sky Screamer, and the Oil Derrick are just cool to look at, honestly. My favorite part was probably taking the trip up for footage in the Oil Derrick, and I think it's really a must-do for any enthusiasts who are real video takers when they go to parks. We didn't tackle the Justice League Dark Ride, any of the smaller flat rides, or the Rapids attraction, but I think they all serve their purpose. They're not really anything too special that we haven't seen before. Overall, the park does have a good amount to do, and it could really be a struggle to get everything done in one day if you want some re-rides on those major coasters. I think overall this is tied with New England as my second favorite Six Flags park. It easily beats out America, but it can't really top Great Adventure. I think this park has a chance to be one of the better themed in the chain, but I doubt they'll put the money into that effort to really push it over the top. The collection is also pretty good. It's like a B+, but it needs something to put it over the top for being considered as a main park in the chain. Now, would I travel back down here to visit again? Probably not without them adding something substantial. Aquaman and Judge Roy Scream are some unique attractions, but I don't think they justify me taking another trip to Dallas specifically for the theme park. As for recommending the park, sure, any enthusiast should experience the first RMC, the original Six Flags, and a ride like Mr. Freeze. That being said, I could see how much worse this experience could have been for me. I was one down coaster away from not really liking the lineup at all, or a rainy day even could have put a real damper on the trip. But it didn't happen, so overall, it's a very good park, but not quite great. Outside the park, the area has plenty to do between Dallas and Fort Worth and Arlington, so it makes for a pretty great long weekend trip. Anyway, that's going to wrap up this review for Six Flags Over Texas. Expect a ranking next week and a what's next the following week. For more coaster stuff, check out Island Coasters on Instagram for daily content, video updates, and news. And until next week, that's all from the shores of Island Coasters.